And hello and welcome everyone to the comic multiverse where the world of nerd meets. Of course, Matt, it is the week after our big fandom show. Thank you everyone who came out and watched that live. I think we had one of our biggest crowds ever, didn't we?
Yeah, well, suddenly like almost 100 people come out.
Yeah, and thank you for watching the show later on Wednesday when it aired. I think we have we're almost at the 2K mark, which for the show is pretty good. It doesn't always hit the 2K mark, so I'm glad to see that. It's also the show
Uh-oh.
about it. We
Uh,
we have some theories.
your camera and everything's like stuttering. you
Really?
like you like
Why?
stopped like mid-sentence. I don't know what the hell happened there.
Am I fine now?
No, you're not. You're like really laggy.
That's weird. Why?
I don't know. I hear your voice perfectly. It's just like your camera's like really laggy.
What if I try hitting it like an old tube TV? Will that do something?
We'll just have to do you by flipbook now. Like like one frame
Yeah.
per page.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, so long as people can hear me. Oh, yes, it's catching up on my end now. I can see it all
Yeah,
fucked up on this
yeah.
end. Yeah,
You're coming
okay.
through perfectly. You're crystal clear.
That's weird. That's really weird that my video is, but that's okay. If you only listen to the audio version of this, then you'll be getting the real experience. And
Maybe
again,
just turn
it's
your camera off and on the Skype thing.
yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. I'm gonna do that right now. That's usually how it works, right? Turn it on and off again. I will turn it off. One Mississippi, two Mississippi, three Mississippi, and back on again. Hopefully that did the trick. Again, these are the great technical difficulties that you'll only find when you watch us live Sunday at 10.
There you go. You look like you're back. We'll see if that happens again because I'm fairly certain that actually happened before.
That's so fucking weird. That's so crazy. What the hell was I talking about again? Oh, yeah, next week's the Halloween show, and Matt and I are still trying to figure out what we're going to do. We're probably going to do a commentary. We'd love to do an Amazon watch along, but the only problem with that is that he's got different movies on Australian Amazon. I have different ones on Canadian Amazon, so it's trying to figure out a good one. Also, too, because it's Halloween, we want to do something horror related. Would Amazon would they bust you for content if it was like overly bloody or like nudity and shit?
I don't know. I mean, you can do those watch parties, and the watch parties are built into
Yeah,
Twitch.
it's weird, right? Because
So
like
I would
obviously,
imagine you can.
yeah, yeah, because it's like you would. Why would they give you the ability to do a watch along if they were gonna like start, giving you shit about what you could do? Because if that was the case, they'd only let you do certain movies.
What we could do, well, because I was thinking about this during the week, is I could set up the show so it does like what like a lot of the other people do, like Red Letter Media and all that, where it shows just parts of the movie
Right.
and then just cut back to us, and then we
That
just
might be a
talk.
good
And they've got
idea.
the chat window and whatnot, and
That's a solid idea. Yeah, do that, and then if shit gets too saucy and we feel we might get demonetized, cut away.
yeah, and I can always like edit it in post for like the actual VOD version.
Good idea. Thank you, Matt. Everyone thank Matt for helping fix our problem. And then I was thinking too, where it's like, well, fuck, if we can't end up doing that, if we can't watch some like cheesy B grade horror movie like I want, I guess we'll watch New Mutants because it's technically superheroes and technically horror. It's horrific
I gotta
horror.
find what like that's on actually.
I have no fucking clue. I mean, didn't they eventually put it all on the Disney app?
I think so. I want to say like my Disney. I think my subscription lapsed mainly because they wanted me to pay $120 for
Oh
a
shit.
year's subscription because they got the star and
Yeah, yeah.
like all this stuff and like conversion rates and stuff. So it was
Yeah,
quite
they
expensive.
I know they did up their thing just recently. They're like, "Hey everybody, we're putting some more we're going to charge you a little more now cuz we have more content."
Yeah,
Yeah. Cowboy in the chat. Yes, I did see Halloween Kills this week, and yes, it was a little rough in parts.
it was, wasn't it?
I mean, I enjoyed it in the same way I love every sort of cheesy slasher movie. It's only as soon as it was done where I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
I know. It's like, I'm just happy. Like, yeah, stabbing people with like fluorescent tubes and like
Hey,
killing
look,
people with like knives and everything. Yeah, that's cool. And then it's like, hey, wait, that mob scene. That like mob justice scene was kind of cringy and like forced.
That was stupid.
Yeah.
Laurie doesn't do anything in the whole movie. She sits in her hospital bed and waits for the third
And
one.
says evil dies tonight, like
A
over
lot.
and over and over again.
Yeah, boy. Hey, Tommy Doyle's not as good in this as when he was Paul Rudd in the other shitty Halloween movies.
I think it was Red Letter Media who put it really well, where it's like because like they bring back a lot of like the cast from like the older films, like the nurse,
basically everyone who's alive.
Yeah, Tommy Doyle and all that sort of stuff. And it's like why are they still like harping on about this thing that happened 40 years ago? Like 40 years ago, like some guy killed 3 people, like
especially.
And you compare it to like they said, I think it was Mike who said it. It's like compare it to now, we've got like school shootings and like
every week.
Terrorist attacks every week. It's like, who gives a shit?
Which is something that the 2018 movie actually got, and this new one doesn't seem. It's like it actually got dumber in between.
Yeah, again they wanted 3 films, so this one had to be like the one that's like, okay, this is the filler issue.
I tell you what though. I would very much watch a whole spin-off that's just Mike McDonald, the legend of Big John and Little John. Because please, I really need to know how this gay couple moved to this town. And it's like, oh, so this is a murder house, you say. Oh, he murdered his whole family. Oh, and then he came back, what is it, like 20 years later and killed 3 more people? Oh, so there's a chance he could come back? Oh, now this house tells a story. Surely we must flip it.
I kind of wish they did that in the movie with them, where it's like they bought the house because of the story, and they're like, yeah, this is kind of like fucked up, but we're going to make like bank selling it.
I know, right? I'm just like, there has to be a whole story around that we didn't hear. Because, like, surely, like, the small Haddonfield real estate agent is like, no, you really don't want to buy this house, guys. You really, really don't.
Yeah, and they got it for, like, a steal.
Oh, yeah, you would very much think so, that they got it for a steal.
Yeah.
Everyone else asking about Dune. Did you watch the Dune this week? I didn't watch the Dune this week.
I watched the Dune this week. I prefer the David Lynch version.
That's what I'm hearing a lot of people say.
Yeah, this one feels way too generic sci-fi. When I think of Dune, I think of like all the weird shit, like David Lynch Dune and what Alejandro Jodorowsky's Dune was going to be like. All that like just weird iconography and all that.
Shit, yeah.
And here it's just like I guess because it's part 1. It has to like ease audiences in, and part 2 might be where all like the weird shit is, all the weirding ways and the muad'Dibs and whatnot.
The best review I read for the thing is like, this is the longest prologue ever. This is like if they took that like first like 10 minutes of Lord of the Rings where they like give you the origin of the ring and Sauron and everything. What if that was stretched out to be the whole movie?
Pretty much, yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's a hell of a thing.
Yep.
That is a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, everyone, we actually do have a fair amount of news this week, which is surprising because I assumed after Fandom there would be nothing.
Yeah, well, to be fair, like half the news we're talking about is Marvel.
Yes, half it's Marvel. Marvel had its big solicitations released this week, so there's a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah, but there was one story we didn't put in first that we should probably talk about, which we kind of forgot because of like some other things as well. Yes, thank you for joining us in that DC fandom coverage. That was great. That was really fun.
It's a high point of our year now that it is a yearly thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, alrighty then. So, yes, the big piece of news we didn't cover because it got washed away by another similar but also very horrible piece of news, and that is Ruby Rose came out this week and spoke on her departure from the CW Batman show, or Batwoman show, I should say.
Yeah.
Matt, I remember you and I covered this story way back when, and we were both, shocked and gobsmacked, where it's like, well, why is she leaving after only 1 season? That doesn't make any sense. No one else left. She says she's leaving under her own power. She says that it's her choice and everything. But in the back of our minds, you and I were both like, we're not going to find out the true story about this until years later, huh? There's going to be something horrible we find out.
Yeah, and lo and behold, there is.
So the way that she tells it, Ruby Rose, and the only reason she says she's speaking out now is that Batwoman is entering, its second season, its third season?
Third season, yeah.
Right, and basically, I guess a lot of fans were really inundating her after Fandom being like, "Oh, when are you gonna come back? Oh, are we gonna see you again? Oh, well, we ever see your character again in the show?" And basically, she just had a little bit of a breakdown and was like, "I'm fucking sick of hearing this. Thank you, Cowboy. I'm sick of you guys asking. Let me now tell you the real story of what happened to me working on the set." And she makes some very, very harsh allegations here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess where do we start on this one? I know the big rumor at the time when she left is that, it was related to an injury that
Yep.
she suffered.
Yeah. She did something to her back or her neck, I think. Her neck,
Because,
and she needed surgery for it.
right, because Ruby Rose just didn't act on the show. She also did stunts.
Yeah, which I like. I don't mind like actors actually doing stunts and everything. I think it's kind of cool like, if they push themselves to do it. But there is people that like that's their profession, you know.
That's their job. Yeah, again, Ruby Rose, very rare in the industry. Not a lot of people do that. Again, it's the very Jackie Chan sort of thing
Mhm.
to, act and do your own stunts. Yeah, she suffered a very serious injury. I believe she said it was two herniated discs in her back by her spine. That, if they shifted too much, could have crippled her. And the story she tells is that she was basically, harangued and, bullied by not. I thought it was just a producer, as I found out later. It was actually like the head of the CW was like, "Look, you better get your ass back to work right now. I don't care if you have to work hurt. If you don't get back to work, I'm firing everyone."
Yeah, so she like had surgery for this, and then 10 days later she was back on
Yeah.
set. That's insane.
Which is nuts. This lady apparently was really playing hardball with Ruby Rose there. Wouldn't even send a car for her. It was
No.
like, take a cab, which like,
Yeah.
ouch, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
NR in the chat saying apparently there was some emails published today that actually corroborated Rose's claim. So this
Okay.
isn't even just accusations and hearsay anymore. This is more or less confirmed. Rose would further go on to say that this was not an isolated incident and that many of the stunt people who worked on the Batwoman show were not well taken care of. She basically said they were running a very sloppy shop.
Yeah, well, apparently it's something that happens like very, very frequently on some of these CW shows because this isn't the first time like something's happened. There was
No, yeah.
like on Smallville, the main guy Tom Welling almost crashed his car because he was working long like 16, 17 hour days, and they were telling him to drive himself back to like where he would be staying while they were shooting. I think some guy from Rivendell actually crashed his car because of that
Oh,
sort of
Jesus.
stuff because he was so tired. And then then all this stuff on the back. I'm sure there's much more as well.
The two big accusations that Rose says that she personally saw in her time is one lady actually got crippled by
Yep.
like a piece of falling equipment and landed
Mm-hmm.
like right on her head and did spinal damage, and then another guy got like third-degree burns over most of his body. And you're thinking like, well, shit, how have we never heard of this? Well, apparently, according to Ruby Rose, the lady who was in charge of this covered up all of these things.
Yeah, and that's also feeds into because they were working for so long. They were actually the last show to stop when COVID hit. They filmed
That's
through
right.
through COVID, and it was from government intervention when the government told like Hollywood and all those people, you got to shut down. This is all fucked. Is when they closed production down.
Right, because I imagine they film that show in Canada because they film all of them in
Mhm.
Canada because it's cheaper.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty fucked up. Those are some pretty, crazy claims that we now know are more or less corroborated. DC and Warner Brothers fired back at her in a way that is very similar to what happened with the Ray Fisher situation, where they're like, actually, she was the problem.
They got like a crew member or something.
Yeah, she was a diva. She was the real problem. She quit. We didn't secretly fire her, because that's the other thing Rose said. I didn't quit. I was going to honor my contract. They fired me.
Yeah.
And the reason they say they fired her is that, because as a stunt woman, she brought up a lot of these, concerns and everything to people in charge. And that gave her like a bad reputation of someone rocking the boat and it's just all really ugly.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess that's like why they recast her and everything, why they did what they did in season 2 with like her character, where they like recast Kate Kane and then like sort of sent her off in a way that like she won't be coming back at any time.
Yeah.
But it also like that also feels like I'm pretty sure as well, like the creators of the show wanted to do an original character, not Kate Kane.
Right.
And that was like their way of like, oh well, we got what we wanted.
Yeah, in a fucked up way. But yeah,
Yeah.
this shines a hell of a light on the treatment of crew and on the treatment of stunt people in, some of our favorite shows and movies. And it's something we should definitely think about more, because these are people who may very well be being abused and being taken advantage of. And it couldn't come at like a more opportune time, this revelation, because obviously there was the big what is it, like the big strikes
Big
that almost
union
happened.
strike, yeah.
Yeah, the big union strikes that were ultimately averted because the
Well,
powers that
they
be
they were averted, but like a lot of people are probably going to be voting no on the terms they agreed to, just because they're not like really good terms. They're a bit better, but they could be better than them.
Again, classic BoJack Horseman did a whole episode on this too, where it's like, look, well, what if we just abuse you a little bit? What if we just kick you in the nuts a little bit? Is that okay? So there was that, and then of course the other big piece of news that ironically ties into this in a way. What is it? Alec Baldwin, of course, horrible accidental shooting on a movie because again, cast and crew negligence, someone not doing their job, and now there's actually a horrible death because of it.
Yeah, that was like a perfect storm of like bad things happening at once, because you had like, I think they kicked off like all the union members and were running with like a scab crew, which is all non-union members and everything.
Yeah.
And, I think the armorer, this was like her second film or something.
Yikes,
and she was quite young as well, like 25 or something at the time.
Yeah, a lot of people too. This brought to mind the death of Brandon Lee, which was basically the exact same thing happened all these years later, and nothing has gotten better, and it's just so fucking crazy. And again, makes you think, and hopefully I know you were saying that some productions have already really taken this to heart, and they're like, look, only digital muzzle flares from now on. We're actually going to try and make sure nothing this fucked up ever happens again.
Yeah, they're switching out their live guns that they would have on set with airsoft ones. And like, why, like when airsoft was invented, why didn't that not become the norm? Like, and it's like the guys in charge of that and like prop masters and stuff, they're creative people. They have to come up with these props and like
for sure.
fix them and stuff. Like, surely someone would have developed something that doesn't require you to actually load the gun for it to fire.
Yeah, and potentially hurts one. I know there's like a whole like 3-step authentication process, or at least there's supposed to be, when a good trained crew that, knows what they're doing and, has their best interest taken care of, that's what they're supposed to do. So yeah, here's a bunch of stories that together, paint quite a picture of the industry. And it's something I hope more people pay attention to, because, there's a lot of heartbreak, and in this case, death that could have been avoided if only people did the right thing.
Absolutely.
Michael Reese with some interesting insight here, going, wow, CW sounds like a scary place to work. Wonder Grant Gustin looks like he's ready to run off that narrative. Yeah, you gotta wonder, because if these are the stories that are only coming out now from Ruby Rose, who is an actress who obviously has done other stuff and had other options.
Yeah.
Stephen Amell was an unknown when they grabbed him. Grant Gustin, a basic unknown when they grabbed him. How much shit do you think they went through, and that just kept quiet, or that they just thought was normal?
Yeah, well, it's funny you should mention that. It just reminded me of something I read somewhere. I think it was, I'm sure their set probably wasn't that good either, but I think it might have been David Ramsey when he did an episode of like The Flash. He like really loved the atmosphere there with like everyone, and he's like, oh, they got like coolers full of Coke for like when you come off a hot set and everything, and all this sort of stuff. And he went back to Arrow, and Arrow didn't have any of that, because Arrow was like a shit show. And like he approached I don't know who it was, it might have been Mark Guggenheim or someone, and say if they could like do something similar to like help with morale. And I think the guy said, we'll do that when we're beating Flash in the ratings.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's pretty telling. That's, you can have a good set and good care taken of you, but only when you're making people money.
Yeah, and this is with Arrow, with like all those shitty scripts and probably long hours that kind of wrecked Stephen Amell a little bit there, because he had like panic attacks after finishing the show. He had panic attack on I think it was Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. They had to like cut the episode short because he had like a huge attack and everything.
I didn't know about that. That's deeply fucked. And again, we like all these things, but it's terrible to have to, think that the thing you like is coming at, the distress and harm of another human being.
Absolutely, yeah.
I hope they fucking fix that shit, because again, they're clearly not stopping making these CW shows. They got that Naomi thing coming down the pipeline, and geez, those all look like nice people, and I would hate to, find out later.
I know, right? I know. It's kind of disheartening.
Very, very disheartening. And also, too, as someone said, no wonder Grant Gustin looks so fucking fried and so unenthused. And like, you know what? I think this is going to be the last one, guys.
Yeah.
Well, moving on from there to some happier news. Apparently Cyclops, according to one of the new solicitations from Mar-Vel this week, is going to be stepping down as the de facto leader of the X-Men to be replaced with a brand new character, Matt, called Captain Krakoa.
Yeah, Captain Xavier has a handle on this character.
Very much so. This seems to be a story they've been building up to a while now across all of the X-Men books, and that is that Cyclops is not a total team player for Krakoa and everything else. He has his own ideas, his own aspirations. He wants to be a traditional hero, and yeah, maybe they want someone leading the team who will just be a symbol of, Krakoan propaganda and who will do what they're told.
Yeah, again, this feels like someone that like Xavier and like the Quiet Council would make, because like the whole deal with the X-Men team is they'd be separate from the Quiet Council. They wouldn't answer to the Quiet Council. They'd be for like the people of Earth and protect the people of Earth as a hero team, and that's why they had like the treehouse and everything.
Yeah.
So yes, I could see this being as sort of like, oh, this is our new leader. He definitely isn't here from Xavier and reporting back to him.
It's funny too, because we've actually seen in the Duggan stories so much interaction between Cyclops and Captain America, so it's funny to see Krakoa take that idea and be like, well, what if we had our own Captain America, though?
Yeah.
So this is a fun concept, and again, I think this is kind of the big concept the main X-Men book needs to kick it in the ass, because, well, I've been enjoying Duggan's time on X-Men. It's like, it's not blowing my mind like the other stuff.
Well, yeah, it's a completely different, like, animal.
It totally is. It's much more in line with how X-Men used to be.
Yeah. It's that palate cleanser.
It is. It's so hard to come down from the Hickman stuff and the Krakoa stuff. It's like, man, we were riding high there for a bit, and now we got to come down a little bit so we can go high again.
Yeah.
You can't only have climbing heights, or eventually you have the problem where even amazing stuff feels like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Captain Krakoa, fun concept. I'll be interested to see where it goes, especially because it's like, oh, well, this means Cyclops will actively be fighting against his team now that they've essentially iced him out.
That'd be interesting. Does he set up another team?
Does he start up a team to fight them? Or is Captain Krakoa just Scott under a different name? Is that the thing where it's just like, yeah, so I had to at least make it look like I was, doing all this stuff and giving Xavier what he wanted, so now I just dress up like Captain Krakoa while also being Cyclops.
It's a clone of Scott? Like another version of Scott?
Hey, what's Havoc doing recently?
Yeah, nothing.
It's Havoc. They get, hey, Alex, we got a big job for you, buddy.
It's literally like a clone Krakoan version of Captain America.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for the follow there, too. Flurf, I do believe. I'm unsure. If I butchered that, I'm sorry. But yeah, this looks interesting. Again, the X-Men series got a lot of stuff going down, and this isn't even the last X-Men story we'll be talking about.
No.
Moving on from there, we have a Fantastic Four story. Apparently, they're gearing up for their big event, and what Dan Slott is calling like one of the biggest events he's ever written. It's called The Reckoning War.
Yeah.
Reckoning. Are you ready for some reckoning, Matt? Is it the day of reckoning?
Some reckoning and some war.
Some war. Again, all the events have war at the end of them now, Matt. You notice that every Marvel event now.
War. I wonder why. It probably has something to do with like a famous movie called Infinity War. Making lots of money and...
War. What is it good for? Apparently selling comic events, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
the Sinister Wars, the Reckoning Wars, all of the Secret Wars, the Infinity Wars, all of the wars. The big talk here is that apparently we're going to be seeing the return of some classic villains here, but in new forms. And again, he's being very coy about who these villains could be. As I look at the poster image for this, is that fucking Jack of Hearts? Did Jack of Hearts come back when I wasn't paying attention?
It looks like him, yeah.
Jack of Hearts, his big thing is that he blows up and kills Scott Lang during the beginning of the Bendis era, and then no one ever wrote about him ever again.
Yeah, he bombs the Avengers mansion.
Yeah, he shows up, he's a zombie, he blows up. That's the one thing we know about him.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like you and I were totally into a new start for Fantastic Four when it started, because it's like, oh, we finally got them again. They were gone for so long, and this is a good place for Dan Slott. And then I think you and I both just kind of dropped off around the same time.
Yeah, well, no, I think I stopped just because I had too many goddamn books. But I've been keeping an eye on it in my peripherals, and it's apparently been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Thing got married. That's pretty big. They made the son not a mutant anymore, which that wasn't good. That pissed people off. But let's face it, he totally is, though.
Yeah. They're just that whole Chip Zdarsky thing was just about gaslighting Franklin.
The second, I swear, the second Slott is off that book, they're gonna put it back.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's one of those things where it's like, you changed it now, but you're gonna change it back any minute now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be a big cosmic event. A big thing. With a whole group of villains. They look like Skrulls, but I'm guessing they're not Skrulls. Again, knowing Dan Slott, I'm sure there's some crazy alien freaking pull from a run I don't remember from the 60s.
Offshoot of Skrulls or something we haven't seen for 30 years or something.
Also, the Watcher clearly looks like he's going to be involved in this now, so that's cool.
Yeah, we know he's back.
Yeah, so Watcher's back. And not only is he back, but he's more popular now than ever, thanks to What If.
Yeah.
Also, is that the not quite Nick Fury guy there too, or am I crazy with the glowing eye?
I think so. I think because he's got the chains and everything.
Yeah, did they the Unseen? Yeah, I feel like, didn't they change him back at the end of a story, or am I crazy?
I know he came back at the end of a story as the Unseen.
Wasn't that Empire? Wasn't that the thing? And then the Watcher came back, and I'm like, well, shit, if the Watcher's back, doesn't that mean the Unseen ceases to exist?
Maybe it changes what the Unseen means.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe it's just Nick Fury with powers now.
I guess so, yeah, because that's the original Nick Fury, who we've done nothing with in a long time, because he's been this for for about as long as you and I have been doing comic YouTube.
Yeah, all the way back in Original Sin.
Yeah. KT reminding us there, the Doom wedding. Yeah, of course, there was the Doom wedding. So, you can't say that, Dan Slott rested on his laurels for this run.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of good Fantastic Four stuff, because we have that Mark Russell run as well, which is just excellent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I need to catch up on that. I kind of fell off, and I'm just like, you know what, this... unlike the Spider-Man one, I feel like the Fantastic Four one probably reads better when it's all finished.
Yeah, I could see that.
Joe Fisher says the external Skrulls? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I guess we'll find out. There's your Fantastic Four news, everyone. Maybe we'll check it out. Maybe we won't. We'll see. I guess I just kind of like the idea that the Fantastic Four get something, that they get a big event.
Yeah. They're not just part of it. They're the main reason this event is happening. And this is during when all these new events come out. There's Timeless. There's I think it was called Timeless. There's that one with Kang. Bunch of different the Wolverine ones, all of those different ones.
It just hits me. Is it called Timeless because of Marvel's connection to Time Lee comics?
Maybe.
Is that why? Because Marvel used to be called Timely Comics, and that's why it's called Timeless. Yeah. So we're actually not done with Fantastic Four adjacent stuff, because, hey, the Silver Surfer is going to actually be getting a brand new solo series very soon from Ron Mars, and they've already given away a big thing that you can expect from it, and that is they're going to be resurrecting the original Captain Marvel for it, apparently.
I think this was kind of signaled in the actual Captain Marvel book, because they've got a big event coming up called the Battle of the Captains or something. Something where a bunch of all the people who have gone by that name actually fight one another or something.
And there's been plenty, and what a perfect time to do it as we work up to Marvel's the movie. Why not again, sure up that Captain Marvel legacy by reminding everyone.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm intrigued as well now that he's coming back. What that also means, because he's like somewhat related to like Hulkling and Wiccan, and
yeah, he's their dad. He's Hulkling's dad, isn't he?
Yeah, well, not only that, but like his bands, his bands actually became their wedding rings.
Oh shit, that's cool.
Yeah, and they can use the power to like transport around the universe and everything.
Oh, that's really cool. Also, if the original Captain Mar-Vel is back too, doesn't that mean that he ends up actually becoming the leader of the Kree Skrull Alliance? Because doesn't he technically outrank his son in that regard, or would they not want him to be the leader?
Yeah.
Dad, I'm happy you're alive, but also you're really blowing up my spot right now. Yeah, Christ, that'll be a lot for Mar-Vel. Hey, you have a son. Oh, really? Yeah, and he's gay, and he's the emperor of a mass space empire.
He managed to bridge the gap between the Skrulls and the Kree, creating a unified empire.
Oh, shit, a lot happened while I was dead. Also, too, with Captain Mar-Vel back, here's hoping Ron Mars actually hammers a real character out of him, to where the most interesting thing about him isn't that he died of cancer that one time. Brandon Williams, how long has Captain Marvel been dead for? A long fucking time, really Brandon. In fact, like so long, he's one of those characters I assume they would never actually bring back again. So yeah, actually, let me look into that right now. Death of Mar-Vel. When was Death of Captain Marvel? It'll tell us exactly when it was. 1982.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
He's been dead. So he's been dead for over 2 decades.
That's insane to think, isn't it?
Yeah, because like
usually... no one has brought him back. Well, I'm sure he's like appeared in some comics and stuff, but like not like properly brought him back.
Yeah, for like flashbacks and shit. You know what it was? It was the perfect storm of his death was so good in Death of Captain Marvel, because you never had heroes just die of cancer, and it was never like, that mature or treated with that much reverence that they never wanted to undo that. And then from there on, they were like, oh, Spectrum is going to be the new character we're pushing now. She's, the true inheritor of the mantle. Actually, you know what? Carol is the one we're pushing. She's the true inheritor of the mantle. Let's not muddy the waters by ever bringing him back. She's Captain Marvel now. To where in the movies, they kind of change it up entirely to be like, well, actually, it happened like this.
Yeah.
To where he kind of existed, but kind of didn't. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, he might exist. He might be in the sequel. We don't know.
We don't know. But here's the thing. If they're bringing him back in this comic, then there's a good chance that, we'll probably see him in the movies at some point. Because it's all...
in the movie or, the Marvels or Miss Marvel, something like that, yeah.
Or a what-if cartoon, because, come on, it's all fucking multimedia.
Yeah.
Again, it's crazy to think he's coming back now. Like, him coming back now is almost as big as, like, when they brought frickin' Bucky back as Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
It's one of those deaths you assume that for one reason or another they would never undo. And they're undoing it, but it's Ron Mars doing it, so I, expect Ron Mars to have a good reason for it.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably got some pretty good story to tell.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't normally pick up Silver Surfer, but I'm like, okay, this actually looks like this is going to be important for a lot of cosmic Marvel, so I should definitely check that out.
It'd be hard to top that Silver Surfer Black Book, because that book was fucking dope.
So I've heard, with its, what is it, graffiti-inspired art.
Yeah, the ties to Null and all that stuff Donny Cates was doing at the time.
Roshan, actually, with a good question here. So there'll be 2 Captain Marvels now, Carol and the original. Potentially, and probably more, because we'll probably see Monica Rambeau suit up again for that, Tournament of the Marvels book that they're doing.
Yeah.
And maybe Kamala will get promoted too, and she could be Captain Marvel for a minute as well.
Yeah, maybe she'll get some new powers to reflect her MCU counterpart.
Yeah, I was hearing about that too.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like if you ask people where it's like, okay, what's Miss Marvel's power? Oh, she can stretch. Okay, but how can she stretch though? Because they have explained it. It's just the reason behind it is like, oh, really? It's about time, really. She's stealing mass from the future of her future self to do the thing. That's weird, but also very inhuman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, isn't Mar-Vel's spirit in the soul gem? Good question. I guess they'll have to deal with that too, won't they?
I don't know if they. I mean, that was such. I mean, it wasn't too long ago, but like, it's from a story like no one really gives shit about.
Yeah,
Like,
true enough. Will they go back to that?
I don't think they'll do that. Well, though maybe being on Mars, you probably will, and probably find something like kind of compelling about it.
Bit of a continuity junkie.
Yeah.
Do you think Carol will go back to being a warbird? No one's gonna go back to being warbird. That's another thing people forget. Carol had so many identities before she became Captain Marvel. She was Miss Marvel. She was Warbird. She was binary. Remember binary?
Yeah.
Which I guess they kind of pay homage to her being binary sometimes when she absorbs so much power and she gets all bright and on fire and shit.
Yeah, they do that in the movie as well.
Because that used to be her thing.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Last of the Marvels, the event already started. Really?
Oh,
I guess
okay.
again, I don't normally read Captain Marvel, but I do want to check this out because I'm a sucker for cool legacy stories, and that's what this sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for one of them. Even again, it was the reason that I kept reading United States of Captain America.
That finished this weekend. It was pretty good.
I haven't read the ending yet. I thought it was kind of going off the rails in the last part where I'm like, you know what the problem with this is? You had two good stories here. This should have been two stories, not one.
It should have been a little bit longer, I think.
That too. Again, if you wanted to do a road trip with the Captain Americas, that should have been a story. And if you wanted to do the Spider-Verse of Captain Americas, that should also have been a story unto itself. Alrighty, then what else do we got going on after that? Ooh, Son of Kal-El. There was some big news this week. Apparently, the big issue 5, which they're already heralding as the coming out issue, has apparently been breaking sales and pre-order records all over the place.
Yeah, not only that, but every issue is going back to like 4th and 5th, and I think even 6th reprints.
But Matt, angry, shouty YouTube men with Confederate flags behind them told me that go woke, go broke.
A guy won't get rich, actually.
Yeah, once again proving that line of thinking is completely stupid and easily proven to be wrong. I'm paraphrasing someone I read online there. I wish I could give them full credit, but their name escapes me. They say what this should be is that they should now change it to be buy and sell is what it is. Come out as buy, sell a lot. I no joke. I was actually going to order the Pride cover myself because I'm like, oh, this actually is a big, important watershed moment. I'm sure that this will become a collector's item later. Then I hear it's breaking sales records all over the place. I'm like, so it's Death of Supermaning it up, and this will actually be worth nothing, is what you're telling me, because everybody bought it.
Yeah. Also, like in tying in with this news is we found out like the colorist of the book is kind of a homophobic shithead.
Yes, wow. Not just a shithead, but a guy who was actually leaking information to those shouty YouTube men, so he got his ass fired for breaking contract.
Well, not only leaking information, but leaking like information and like out of context. Yes. Deliberately out of context, so they would get angrier.
So bad on several levels was this dude, and punished was he.
Yeah, I just can't believe he ranted for 4.5 hours on some Comic Gate stream about it. Like, I mean, I don't think you could pay me to talk for 4.5 hours about one thing.
I know, we can barely do this show. Tom is, freaking talk about it, man. So yeah, but more good news for this story again. Wins yet again, and men are proved wrong again.
Yeah.
What more is to say about it? We'll actually be talking about this book later because issue 4 came out this week, and we'll talk about that when we talk about what we read this week.
Yeah.
Now, moving on from there to some books that are actually ending this year that are surprising everyone. Apparently, Savage Avengers, which again I dropped off on, the big Conan Punisher book there, it's going to actually be coming to an end. And apparently the reason it's coming to an end is because the Conan license holders are apparently planning something big for him this year. There's going to be a big Conan refresh, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but all right.
Yeah, I would have to assume they're probably going to actually start marketing Conan and actually be like, okay, we're going to do movies and TV shows and maybe like because I know like Jim Zub's doing obviously his actual like the Conan comic.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, that's like selling pretty well. Like I can't remember what issue it's up to, but it's getting up there. It's been on for a while.
It has been, and to hear Zub talk, it's a dream job getting to write it and everything. Another thing that Conan, it's this weird place within Marvel where they're allowed to make the books, but only so long as the Conan license holders allow them to do it.
Yeah.
It's this weird like working relationship where it's like, hey, so long as you're selling good and showing us in a good light, we'll let you do whatever you want. The idea that they're like, okay, we're having a refresh of Conan, maybe we're gonna stop it now, makes me think like, oh, did they get another movie deal or a TV series deal or something, and that's why they kind of want to like pull back the reins on it a bit?
Yeah, they want to get it ready for the movie synergy.
Or something, yeah, and they're like, oh, well, we're going with a studio that's not Disney, so...
Yeah.
So they kind of want to, like, do a clean break now. Again, if we find out in a couple months that, like, oh, yeah, there's, like, a new Netflix Conan show or, like, an Amazon Conan show.
Yep.
Which, honestly, I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's, like, the strangest thing. It's like, why hasn't something... Like, with Game of Thrones and all that being so popular... How has there not been, like, a Conan show or something set in, like, that world of, like, Hyboria and all that sort of stuff? How has that not happened?
Dungeons and Dragons has never been more popular than it is. Like, literally, that's what Conan should be. No more Conan movies. It should be an hour-long episode of him getting into some crazy fantasy adventure. Even The Mandalorian is basically a Conan show.
Yeah. There's your template. You do
right
The Mandalorian... but with Conan, and instead of like looking after a little baby, he's got a harem or something. I don't know.
There you go. He gets a little dragon like in the cartoon, or one of those firebirds that lives in his sword or some shit.
Yeah.
Gets one of those. Again, that's so easy. Again, he is the progenitor of the genre of the lone wandering hero who rolls into town, gets into an adventure, defends the village, fights a monster, and everything.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't done anything with it. I really hope, I don't think they will just because he's getting on in years, but I really hope they do that King Conan movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger wants to do, just because he always, whenever he talks about it, he's so passionate about it.
I know.
And like the ideas he had for it and everything, and I think it'd be really cool.
He better hurry.
Yeah, exactly.
Better hurry. Yeah, I mean, hey, I think Schwarzenegger deserves it. That needs to be a good note that he can go out on. He revisited Terminator a couple times. He revisited all his big franchises. Time to revisit Conan.
Yeah.
I say Conan's a big franchise. It's one movie and Red Sonja, which is kind of a sequel, but kind of not.
It's technically two Conan movies, because there's Conan Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer.
That's right, the Destroyer.
And then there's technically a reboot with Jason Momoa that no one saw because it's terrible.
I didn't see it. Yes, that's right. Conan the Destroyer with the wizard and the tower and the mirrors and shit. Yes, that one's not as good as the first one, which is why we don't remember it.
First one's good because he punches a camel in the face.
Hell yeah. And freaking Darth Vader there as
turns into a fucking snake for some reason.
Fucking Snake Man. He's a charismatic cult leader getting people to walk off ledges. How fucking cool is he? Fulsa Doom, my man. Which it always bugged me. Apparently, as Zub told me, they couldn't get Fulsa Doom in the new comics because technically Fulsa Doom wasn't even a Conan character.
Yeah, he was an original creation.
He was an original creation, so that one got
That's
me.
why he probably went up against that wizard in the early Savage Avengers issues.
Because that's as close as they could get to it. Jaden saying they should get Gendy Tartakovsky, the Samurai Jack guy, to make a Conan cartoon. Fucking yes.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, he kind of basically did it with that what was that show? Primal, yeah. That character basically looked like Conan.
He was basically Conan. NR asking me, hey, did you see Inside Job? I saw the first episode of Inside Job. Definitely going to keep watching it.
Yeah, I saw the first episode too. Definitely quite interesting.
This is interesting. It's funny, from the trailers, I was just like, oh, God, are we doing another BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty? Oh, our main character is such a hateful, unlikable jerk, but that's the point and everything because, they say funny stuff. Ironically, the first episode is about everyone having a problem with that character's personality. So they really meet that shit off at the pass in episode 1.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna watch it because I'm like, again, yeah, I'm like, oh, it's trying to capitalize on Rick and Morty and like BoJack Horseman. It kind of even looks like exactly like them.
Very much so. It's Alex Hirsch who produced this. I thought he did the show, but he only produced it. He's the guy behind Gravity Falls, so everyone was really waiting for this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm enjoying. Like freaking Netflix came out with like 3 really interesting animated series this week. It was Inside Job, Maya and the Three, which is from the guy who did Book of Life, so I really want to watch that because I like Book of Life, and Adventure Beach that also looked funny and weird and offbeat. So there's like a lot of good offerings for animation on Netflix this week.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, moving on from that story to another one, some interesting things missing from the solicitations for January next year. Excalibur isn't there, Wolverine isn't there, and X-Force isn't there.
Yeah, well, I have to imagine Wolverine will be ending because of that 10 deaths and 10 lives of Wolverine.
Right, which Benjamin Percy is also writing X-Force. I'm sure X-Force will be involved in that story. And yeah, it kind of looks like his big swan song, right? Like, this is me going out on a high note. Because obviously, the X-Men books are kind of changing all over the place. Steve Orlando took over, Marauders, because Jerry Duggan is on main X-Men. And it looks like, yeah, they're probably going to refresh these books as well, too, either with new creative teams or maybe whole new titles.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, what old X-Men, team book concept have they not reused the title for? Because they've reused every single one.
Yeah, you got to like what is something they could come up with that
Extreme X-Men, which was a title.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it was a title.
They'll bring back blue, gold, and red.
Oh God, no, thank you.
Yeah, remember that era when everyone just had a fucking
red
color?
Was pretty good, but yeah.
They also had X-Men Black, which were about villains, and they were all one-shot stories, and they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually, let's look into that right now, because yeah, obviously, I mean, Excalibur has been running with one consistent creative team since this all began, so it's had like the longest tenure, I think.
Have we had? I'm sure we've had Extermination. I know we've had like events called that and everything, but we could have a book.
It was an event.
That.
It was definitely an event.
Exterminators, and it's just beasts committing war crimes again.
Over and over again. Yeah, that's definitely one. I mean, Inferno, that's what that is too. That's just totally a callback to an old event. Yeah. They haven't done Astonishing X-Men. They could bring that back. They could bring back Alpha Flight. That's another one.
Yeah, well, I mean, Alpha Flight technically doesn't exist at the moment, so yeah, they could do that.
Agent X or Agents of X, that could be one they could do.
Just take the name Major X and rebrand it as like I know some other character just to piss off Rob Liefeld.
Rob Liefeld, yeah, I'm fair. Extraordinary X-Men, they haven't brought that back as a thing yet. Okay. Remember when they were extraordinary for a little bit? Generation X, there's another one from the 90s. They haven't brought back Generation X yet. There's one they could do.
Yep. I imagine they haven't done like Astonishing or Uncanny or anything like that because they themselves sound like superhero team names. The Uncanny X-Men and all that, and they're not really superheroes at the moment.
At the moment, no. Mutant X, oh god, I forgot all about Mutant X. Yeah. Sword has a title, Soldier X. God, there's so many fucking X-Men books here as I just look at all the titles here. Yeah, X Factor had one and then got canceled. X Corp has a thing now. X-Men Adventures.
Yeah, oh Jesus.
X-Men Legacy, X-Men Forever. Oh, First Class. They haven't used First Class again. Or Extreme X-Men from 2001. Ooh, Ecstatic. They haven't used Ecstatic yet for anything. So, again, I'm calling that one out right now. 2022, get ready for a brand new Ecstatic team. Because,
chances are they're going to do that as well now. We're pretty good at calling those things.
Oh, yeah, by the time this is done, they'll use Ultimate X-Men. Yeah, it's like, well, is it in the Ultimate Universe? No, but we're just calling it Ultimate X-Men. So there you go. But yeah, I'm fine with that. Again, I've said time and time again, what was great about this, era of X-Men is that there was a book for everyone, a book for every taste, and you could pick up whatever you like and feel like you were involved in the Krakoan saga.
Mm-hmm.
And for that to keep going is that eventually they would need to refresh it and bring some books in and some books out.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that they're doing it, just because like it's like, while I like that there was again a book for everyone and everything, there were like quite a fair few books, like maybe a bit too many books.
Yeah, and also
because it felt like there for a week they were announcing a book every week.
It's true, it really was. It was getting quite hilarious. Yeah, I don't think it would hurt them to scale it back a little bit, because some stuff you knew wasn't gonna last, like X-Corp wasn't gonna last.
No, absolutely not. No.
X-Factor had a chance, but it didn't do it. Same with Fallen Angels. That one was only a mini, but it's like, come on, this is a mini, but if it does good, it'll be 6 more issues.
Yeah, and it didn't do good.
It didn't, but it, dying is what gave us Hellions, which was great.
That's true.
Hellions probably could have kept going, but I actually appreciate them for being like, nope, we're going to end this story with a bang very organically.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm down with that. And this also means we're probably going to get a new Wolverine series too, so they're probably going to take him in a brand new direction with a brand new creator.
Yeah, I could also see it as well as like by the time these books come out, it's like 2022, 2023. I imagine we'll also be getting stuff from like what's happening with like the mutants in like the movies and stuff.
Maybe.
So I imagine they'll start pushing whoever they decide to put on the X-Men teams.
Yeah, it's shocking to think that we're this far along and there's like no word on X-Men movies yet.
Yeah, well, soon I imagine, soon.
Again, that's just like so Marvel Disney right now. It's like, we could make X-Men movies, but we don't have to make X-Men movies, so we're not going to.
We're going to make fucking Eternals films and What Ifs and...
Yeah, we know we can sell X-Men to you. We know that, like, we can do that no problem. What we want to do is, like you said, sell you on Eternals. And Shang-Chi and all these other things. We want to give it a try.
Yeah.
X-Men will always be there in our back pocket. Same with Fantastic Four. We'll get to it eventually. When we're good and ready. Who would you like to see be on the Wolverine book? I'm sure it's cliche, but hey, Chip Zdarsky, you were pretty good writing a angry, self-destructive man in Daredevil, and that's coming to a close soon. What do you got for Wolverine?
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun, I reckon.
Yeah, what do you got going on for him? What dark night of the soul could he go through?
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't do that. He does the complete opposite. Makes it a comedy.
Which he's also been known to do, right? Like on Spider-Man, where it's like, yeah, it'll be a freaking allegory for drug addiction. You're like, oh, I'll take it through like every decade in his life. Like, yeah, what are you gonna do for Wolverine?
Yeah, Wolverine is just Mr. Magoo, but Mr. Magoo doesn't get hurt because he's fucking invincible.
Oh my god, that's actually a hell of a pitch. Yeah, just bad shit keeps happening to Wolverine over and over again, and it would kill a normal person, but it doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking solid. I like that a lot, Matt. Wolverine is also Forrest Gump. He could sit on the bench and be like, you want a whiskey? I lived an interesting life. Let me tell you all the things I can remember.
Yeah, that itself is like a really cool like each issue is just him like telling someone at a bar about like how he fought in Nam or something, or like, rushed the beach at Normandy or something.
Well, now we're writing Wolverine life story, which I would also read.
Yeah, exactly.
A. Carter with a good one. How about X Angels? It's 3 mutant ladies who report directly to Professor X, like Charlie's Angels. All right, who are our 3 ladies? It's got to be Domino, Jean, and I guess Dazzler, because you need a funny one.
Yeah.
That also means you got like a girl with black hair, girl with red hair, girl with blonde hair. We've covered all of our... what is it? We've covered it all. Yeah, Donny Cates, there'd be another one. Throw him on Wolverine. I imagine he'd do pretty well there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's a lot of good people they could throw on Wolverine at this point. Because again, now that they're allowed to make X-Men comics again, Wolverine is back to being a flagship guy.
Exactly.
Hey, can Wolverine be an Avenger again? I guess he can't until he's one in the movie, but I would just like to see Wolverine become an Avenger again.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm kind of hoping they do in the next coming years, is just like reintegrate the mutants back into like the Avengers and stuff. Like still keep like all the Krakoa stuff, but like Like the X-Men team, like they're sort of split away from like the actual Krakoan stuff. Have them like go like be part of the Avengers for a little bit or something.
I'd like that a lot.
Yeah.
The chat.
Hell, maybe Scott's leaving to go be part of the Avengers.
Oh, that would be fucking cool. Where Captain America's like, you've always got a team here, Cyclops.
Yeah, he was it. She-Hulk leaves for her miniseries, and he fills in her gap.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Actually,
that'd be so cool.
I got to talk about the chat for a second because they're being very funny. 4D Mike, Wolverine's very bad, no good, awful day is what you could call it. Chemdog, laugh is like a box of adamantium. And Spiralness, laugh is like a bottle of whiskey. You never want to reach the bottom, but you always do. Fuck, that's really good. Can of Coke for you, chat. This is why we like doing the show for you. Sometimes you guys are funnier than us. But yeah, so that's what we got coming for X-Men. Don't weep because these books are gone. Get excited for what could potentially fill their place.
Yeah, I imagine they've got something really, really fun planned for these characters.
And Excalibur had a great run. Wolverine and X-Force had a great run. Again, great run with one guy writing at least 2 of those. So yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
What else do we got from there? Oh, you mentioned She-Hulk, and that's perfect because that's actually what our next piece of news implies. Finally, a brand new She-Hulk series is coming down the pipeline. Jace Jensen asking us, has Scott ever been on the Avengers? That's a very good question.
I think he's like teamed with the Avengers at points, but like never actually been an actual card-carrying member.
There's definitely been some like X-Men members where you're like, really? They were an Avenger? Beast was an Avenger? I know that.
Sunfire was an Avenger.
Sunfire was an Avenger. Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic were Avengers.
Yep.
So it's really freaking weird. But no, yeah, I don't think Cyclops has ever been an Avenger, which is weird.
Yeah, that'd be excellent. That'd be so cool.
And you could sell it as that, like, for the first time ever.
Yeah.
But yes, She-Hulk, as you've always known her, is back again after her long, strange character journey of, dying in green doors and losing controls and going to space and everything. She's back to the way you always knew her, just in time for her TV show. Yep. How about that?
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
It's like that was always the plan or something. Despite how many people would lead you to believe otherwise. This new series comes to us courtesy of Rainbow Rowell, which, yes, that is a real lady, and that is her name, Rainbow.
That's a dope name.
That's fucking dope. I'm like, how the hell did I not know there was a person in the comic book industry with the first name Rainbow? And then I found out apparently she's been writing the Runaways books this whole time. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's why. Because I don't read Runaways because I remember...
I just learned that the Runaways was still going.
Still going. Again, Runaways is one of those things where it's like, people really like this. I'll get to that at some point. I promise I'll get to that. That sounds fun and interesting. I'll be sure to get to that, and then I never get to it. That's like on my list of like things like if I ever go to jail or have a long flight, I promise I'll get to this at some point. But she seems like a good fit for this, Runaways had this kind of like young person kind of comedy, kind of superhero, kind of coming of age thing. And I think there's definitely a lot of that in She-Hulk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, like the She-Hulk premise is just like so solid. It's like it's superhero Ally McBeal.
Yeah, yeah, legal drama, but with a woman who like could bench press an entire building.
Yeah, who's a 10 feet tall Jade Amazon who can crush cars with her thighs and everything. Again, that's a killer premise. And yet, no She-Hulk series ever runs that long, which is a real shame.
Yeah, it's very strange. I guess there is maybe like a roof on those sorts of things. Where it's like, yeah,
it seems that way.
The shtick, legal drama with woman who can do all this sort of stuff kind of like runs its course for a little bit and then like peters out.
And yet every run they've done has been really solid. Dan Slott had a really solid one when he was cutting his teeth in comics. Charles Soule's had one when he just began, and that was kind of novel because, Soule was actually a lawyer before he became a comic book writer, so he actually knew what he was talking about.
Yep.
And then even before that, Steve Gerber, when She-Hulk was like breaking the fourth wall and being funny and self-aware before Deadpool was.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a lot of great history in She-Hulk, and here's hoping now that there's a TV show and more people are probably going to know about her. I'm hoping this one actually breaks through.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I'm definitely going to give it a look, especially because like the art we've seen of it looks really fantastic.
Yeah, looks real solid. You know, again, it's sultry, but it's not like it's not scummy. It's, you know, it's more like retro pinup-y, and I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone get a hype for a new She-Hulk book that's coming out soon, everyone. I think this is her time in the same way I think Moon Knight. This is Moon Knight's time.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is their time. Their time is now. And with that is all the news from this week. And goddamn, we talked much longer than I thought we would. We talked for an hour just about news.
Yeah, we again had a lot of news despite DC Fandom just last week.
Yeah, dropping it all on us. We can talk about what we read this week, and that's fine because I didn't read that much. I only read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only read like 5, 6 things.
I think I read kind of a fair bit. I can't really remember. I've got to pull up my list here.
You know what fucked me up? Young Justice is back now, and that takes like a whole day to watch and write, because I write those reviews because I want to make sure they come out really good.
Yeah.
And then edit and then put it up, and I lose a whole day of comics to it. Not that I'm complaining. It's the most successful thing on my channel.
Yeah, that's good.
If I could review Young Justice every day on the channel, I would, and I'd be a much more popular YouTuber. But that ain't happening, apparently, especially when it takes like 4 goddamn years in between the show getting released.
Yeah.
Also, too, Greg Wiseman and his people said something quite frightening on Twitter. Did you hear this?
Oh, no, what happened?
The fate of the show is uncertain again. They haven't actually been renewed for a season 5.
This is all happens every fucking year, every time they release a season, you know.
Yep. It's happening again, and they're already being like, oh, we're drumming up fan support. Be sure to tell what is it, HBO Max and everything that you want this. And I'm like, but didn't we just do that with Cartoon Network and with Disney or with the DC app? And it's like, oh, of course, fucking HBO. New people, new paymasters. You gotta make a new case to these new guys.
You think though that like HBO Max would be like clamoring for content, like new content.
So. You'd really think so. Apparently not.
Yeah, god damn it.
But all right, we'll talk about what we read this week. Where would you like to begin, Matt?
Well, let's just get it out of the way and talk about the new Batman issue 115. Yeah, pretty much.
I read this week. It was the first thing I read this week. I don't remember jack shit about what happened.
Same stuff as what happened in the last couple of issues. The Scarecrow wants Mr. Wise's machine. We learned Mr. Wise worked with Mad Hatter, which felt like a really like shoehorned in. Like we're gonna cut away from all this stuff to Mr. Wise to tell you that he worked with Jarvis Tetch once. Because
we got to explain this. And in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I'll take a lazy answer over no answer any day. Yeah. And so at least they thought enough to give a lazy answer.
Yeah.
Because I know that bothered you that they were saying Mad Hatter Tech and like Wise Tech interchangeably, and as we find out now, it's actually the same.
Yeah, when it showed up in this issue, it felt like it was just like plugged in there because it just like cuts back to like Mr. Wise, who we haven't really seen really any of throughout this whole event and throughout like the actual book he's actually in.
He's a non-character. He's a total non-character.
Suddenly we learn all his story.
I was the Dormouse in the Wonderland gang. I'm like, were you?
Yeah, really?
Cool, I guess.
Yeah, and what else happens? Batman does stuff, I think.
I don't think he does. I remember Saint, his plan has gone from overly complicated to deeply stupid, where it's like, I will take control of the city with my militia police force, to, oh no, they blew up my boyfriend and my, A-star tech there. Now I'm going to use Queen Ivy to destroy the entire city. I now want to destroy Gotham instead of saving it. That was quick.
He learns that like her roots are in the bedrock, and if she wanted to, she could rip the whole city out of its foundations. I do kind of like the idea that like he tried to change the city and the city wouldn't change, so now he's all fuck it, got to fucking nuke it all from Norbit. Fuck it all.
It's a good, and now this explains why he's in a flying airship. So it's like, so when he brings down the city, he won't be hurt.
No, yeah.
See, he couldn't do that if he was just in a skyscraper, because then it's like, ah, crap, I'm on the ground. I can't pull down the ground. I can do it from my sky base, though.
Yeah, we learn also that like Scarecrow wants to use that machine that Mr. Wires made to like make a trauma bomb that he's seemingly funneling into Sean, so like putting everyone who's been through that machine's trauma into the guy's head to like make him go crazy and like maybe go on a rampage through the city,
which he was doing anyway.
Yeah. It's just going to make him more crazy.
When you say trauma bomb, do you mean that literally or figuratively? Like, is he going to actually explode trauma over everyone, or will his action just start another action?
Yeah, it seems to be that one.
Yeah, it's again, Scarecrow, this is his event and he's barely in it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even class him as this isn't his event. This is like not even Saints either. It's like Sears.
Yeah,
a character who we meet in
the
Nightwing book, and who's one of the main characters in the I Am Batman book.
Is she actually okay? See, that explains
well, I actually read the second issue of that. We'll talk about that as well. This is what Fear State should have been. Because in this book, firstly, Anarchy is murdered.
Oh no!
Yeah, like properly murdered, like actually dead.
That's a shame. He seemed like he was coming around.
And we find out he was gunned down by a radicalized kid who'd been radicalized by Seer, saying like, or using the Oracle thing and saying like, oh, you people are special. You're part of the moral authority, and it's your duty to defend the city against masks and. The magistrate and all of these things.
Oh, geez, this sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's Jace not blaming the kid, blaming the people who did it to him, and trying to like free this kid who's been caught by the police and he's going to jail and everything. And Renee agrees with him and wants to like help free this kid, whereas Tanya Fox, who's a legal defense lawyer, wants to prosecute him, throw the book at him, and all this really interesting shit's happening in that book.
That sounds way more interesting than anything that's happened in Fear State. That's what I thought they were gonna do in the story, and didn't actually like explore the impact of like, you know, mania and fear on a community and what it does to people. Now, I'm glad you said that Seer is in that story, because in the Nightwing book from this week, that is also a Fear State tie-in, Seer just shows up and introduces herself, and I'm like, who the fuck is this character?
I read the Nightwing book before I read I Am Batman. I was like, what the who's this? But even in like I Am Batman, she doesn't really show up. Like we hear her voice in like Jason Vola like learning about her and learn that she's a digital ghost. We don't know whose side she's on, but she's like causing chaos and everything. But yeah, then she just like shows up in Nightwing. Was she in Catwoman or something?
I have no idea.
Harley Quinn or something, like a backup story or something one read.
Kali Frederick helping us out again. Nightwing and Thor was dope this week. Loves Babs' new look. Yeah, her costume is good, and we'll be getting to Thor, don't you worry. But yeah, Seer totally got me, because like that Nightwing book opens with they're like, oh, we gotta pound the pavement and find out who took over the Oracle program. And then she just shows up. It's like, hello, I'm Seer. I took over the Oracle program. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Yeah, did I miss a backup? Did I miss it? Who is this like third like hour villain that you're inventing now? Because you know Nightwing and Batgirl can't go after Saint and can't go after Scarecrow. That's for Batman to do. So they just invent this villain at the 11th hour.
Yeah, it just feels like they kind of dropped into it. And again, this is probably not Tom Taylor's doing either. He's probably
not at all.
Given this character, and it's like, yeah, write something about it.
It gets even dumber too, because like, okay, I'm glad to hear from you that the I Am Batman book also calls into question, oh, who does she work for? What is she looking to gain? Because they do that in the Nightwing and Batgirl book, and I'm like, well, obviously she has to work for the magistrate. What she's doing makes no sense if she's not. Everything she's doing behooves the magistrate. And then we find out at the end of that book that, oh yeah, she's actually operating from the magistrate flying saucer. I'm like, well, then what the fuck was the point of calling into question who she worked for this whole time when it was obvious?
Yeah, well, yeah, the in the I Am Batman book, she's trying to like rally people against the magistrate as well. It's just kind of like muddying the waters a little bit.
Very.
And like just causing chaos basically is like her deal, just so like Simon Saint can come in and like be the hero.
It's also really dumb too, because she has this digital form and Batgirl's like, I'm gonna look beyond your digital form and see your true face. and she looks exactly like how she does on the computer anyway. I'm like, then what the fuck was the point of that if she looks exactly the same? Like Seer very easily jumped to the top of my worst villain of the year. Like, everything about this character is like, yep, this was a late edition that adds nothing and actually only muddies the water further.
Yeah.
Functorial, hope you're both happy and thriving. Love the show. Well, thank you so much, Funk. That means a lot. We hope the same for you and for everyone else listening.
Yeah.
I hope Seer isn't thriving, though. There's a character we're never seeing this character again.
Oh, she's the next big thing, Joel.
Next big thing. No, she's not the next big thing because she didn't get a cover.
She just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, didn't get a special cover, didn't get a big announcement like, oh, it's the new character, Seer. Someone else pointed out something that was so true on one of my videos where where they said, why is it that whenever anyone has to write an Oracle story, they all write the same story? What if Barbara lost control of Oracle? What if someone hacked Oracle? Like, that's been the last 3 Oracle stories.
Yeah.
Really boring. Much like Fear State is really boring, and I will be happy when it's done.
Yeah, I'll be happy when it's done, and these books can just go back to their normal stories, like the I Am Batman book. Can go back to doing like what it was doing, setting up Jace. The Nightwing book can go back to its awesome Bloodhaven stuff. Yeah.
This whole like event really just hijacked stories that did not need to be hijacked now.
Two more issues to go.
Which is worse, Seer or Rogol Zar? Seer is the Rogol Zar of hackers. I'm just
at least Rogol Zar didn't just appear in
enough
the back half of an event.
I guess so. I mean, Rogol Zar got a lot of very dumb focus and build up, but at least he got focus and build up. All right, what else did you have this week, Matt?
We had Superman Son of Kal-El, issue 4.
We certainly did. A lot happened in this issue. This was a stacked issue.
Yeah, we learned that Jay is a post-human, or could be someone posing as a post-human, as I said in my last show.
You're still working under the theory that he might be ultra-humanite in disguise. I had a theory for Jay. He's from Gamora, has powers, is fighting against Henry Bendix from afar, but is also not suffering the same, fate of people who have been fighting against Henry Bendix. I think it's his son.
He's a plant, yeah.
I think he's his son, and I think it's going to be like this fun story of like, oh, John is fighting so hard to inherit his father's legacy and stand up to it. Jay ran away from his father because he didn't want to be part of the Bendix legacy. Yeah.
That's fun.
That's what I thought. Again, could go either way, but that was my theory. Jace Jensen also helping us out here. Bloodhaven is on fire and Nightwing is dealing with dad problems. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. I have an unhealthy relationship with my family. They need me. I got to go back home. Also, too, that's the other worst part of that Nightwing story. Batgirl didn't need him. Batgirl had it under control.
Yeah. I know as well as again, I think it's just because these writers are being made to write this.
Absolutely.
You've got Jace's Batman following on Seer. Like, surely you could have teamed them up. With Batgirl and Batman up. Like, she doesn't know who the Batman is, but he's doing something right, and just like she just reluctantly teams up with him or something.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Son of Kal-El. Jay having a whole secret history there. We actually get to see the Justice League get involved, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah, John doesn't particularly like them. I think it's mainly just because it stems from the fact that they didn't want to go with his father to deal with Warworld. Yeah.
There's a lot of tension there. I'm sure he's also just dealing with the responsibility of Superman.
Yeah.
Forget about dealing with that responsibility and the responsibility of being needed by the League too.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the idea that the Kent family farm is under like constant Justice League protection and surveillance, and as soon as something went wrong there, they dispatch 2 Leaguers to deal with it.
Yeah, the Sonic Bendis setup.
It is. Oh, is that a Bendis idea?
Yeah, when he brought back the Kents, Batman had like installed all these things, like sensors and everything, and they all like if anything ever comes on property that we don't know what it is, a League member will be there.
Well, credit where credit is due. I'm glad he at least filled in that hole, because it's like, well, wait, if Superman revealed his secret identity, wouldn't like everyone be shooting up Kent Farm every day?
Yeah, that's why like that sort of stuff is there.
All right, I appreciate that one. That's pretty good. We get a great scene between John and Wally, which makes so much sense, and I was absolutely shocked to discover it was the first time they'd ever met.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, yeah, Wally was dead / missing / out of continuity for most of John's tenure.
And honestly, better team up than John and Damien.
A little bit. It
makes
was a
more sense to me because they both are filling in the exact same roles, whereas like they both know they're both filling in their heroes' roles. They're a legacy character. You know, they know the weight of what's going on and everything.
Wally knows better than most people what it feels like to step into the shoes of your hero, of your idol, and all the problems that can arise from that. And yeah, man, he's had longer to deal with that, hasn't he?
Not only that, it's just not a copy of the Batman-Superman dynamic. It's something different.
Very. Yeah, I appreciate that too, and that Tom Taylor found that, had found that thread. Like, again, if you gave me that story to write, I probably wouldn't have found that thread.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is pretty solid to me. Even Hippolyta gets a good line in there too once they realize that, Bendix was abusing this poor girl and, was abusing all these post-humans. She's like, well, she's under my protection now.
Yeah, she ain't getting abused now.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's fucking badass and totally something Hippolyta would do.
Yeah, yeah.
The best bit, though, is actually a great cameo we get from Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad book, because as we discover, Jay has actually been in contact with Wink in the area.
Yeah, that's so cool, and it makes sense as well, because they too were like, they're not post-humans, but they were like people who were turned into metahumans against their will.
By an evil dictator, and I'm like, oh,
on an island.
On an island, no less. So obviously they got a super invested interest in trying to take down Bendix and everything he's doing with post-humans. And yeah, that was just such a cool little connective tissue piece I liked.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a great moment, too, where it's like, well, you know your enemy is an evil head of state now who attacked you at home and attacked the people you love. Normally, if this was your father, Clark, Superman would have to take this one on the chin and, try and regroup and find another way to come at the bad guy. But John's a little different. John's like, nope, I'm not going to let this guy hurt anyone for a second longer than I have to. I am going to Gamora right now, and I'm going to try and not cause an international incident.
Yeah, so he gets like a Lex Luthor moment, talking to him through the window and everything, sort of thing. And yeah, Bandix is just a smug asshole the whole time.
He really is. He's like, oh, they're the criminals, not me. They ran away. You're being lied and deceived to by the media, John. And oh, there is no war in Bossing Say. Just full of lies and bullshit there. Are you getting the same thing I'm getting, that so many people think Bendix is a reference to Brian Michael Bendis?
Yeah. They don't realize that this character has existed for like 20 years.
And that he's always looked like that. He's always looked like a bald guy.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're so clever and that they figure that out. I'm like, no, guys, you're wrong. You're actively projecting.
Yeah.
Actively projecting. And it's not just one person. It's lots of people who are doing it. This is one of those Bernstein Bears moments where the more people talk about it, the more I think it shifts and changes. But yeah, Bendix springs his trap on John, and that is not to depower him, not to kill him, but actually to overcharge his powers.
Yeah, something that actually happened in Future State.
Oh yeah, that's right. That did happen.
It happened It happened differently because that was the doing of like Brazilian gods and the sun and whatnot. But like that, pretty much happened exactly the same as it did here.
Very interesting. So now John has to deal with the whole god-level Golden Age Superman problems that his dad had to deal with, but he didn't.
Yeah, so I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen there, especially because the next issue is like that big issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot's going to happen in that issue, I think.
Yeah. Very interesting. But yeah, book continues to be a lot of fun, really cool, going in directions I never thought.
Yeah, it's great.
Though now, because of the reveal, I have to, go through the comments extra hard and ban all the homophobic people.
Yeah, put on the hazmat suit as you walk into the comments.
Oh yeah. When I wake up in the morning, they're like, okay, that's been up for a couple hours. Let me give this a look. Although I will say there was something kind of heartening that kind of gave me solace. It was a bunch of the people who didn't like that John got aged up but are still reading this anyway to see where it goes, telling the homophobic commenters to get fucked.
Yeah,
And I'm
allow
like,
me to hate read this in peace.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually something good where it's like, look, you can disagree with something, you can hate read it, but don't be a dick about it and don't be homophobic. Thank you, guys who are obsessed about John not being a kid anymore, for at least, having your head screwed on right and having your hearts in the right place to tell these other guys to get fucked off. Exactly, Matt. Let me hate read this in peace, you jerks. So yeah, that was nice. Those are good moments. That made me happy. Man, I made the terrible mistake of putting that video up right back to back with the new episode of Young Justice, which is all dealing about Martian racism.
Oh, oof.
So boy did
I
have fun having to scoop the trash out on that one. God, don't you love internet commenters like telling on themselves? It's like, this cartoon is discussing themes of racism, which makes me upset because I am a secret racist. So this is all really an attack on me.
Yeah.
Won't somebody please think of me? No, dude. No, I won't. And it's always a dude. So no, I won't.
Yeah, it's always a dude.
It's always a dude. No, I won't. But yeah, Son of Kal-El continues to be cool. Interested to see where it's going from here.
Yeah, we got Warworld starting this week as well.
We do. Oh, is that this week? The big Warworld saga?
Pretty sure it's this week. It's either this week or next week.
Yeah. Jaeger in the chat. I hate both aged up people and homophobes. Put that on a shirt, please. Put that part of the comic multiverse store. I hate people who are aged up on Earth 3, and I hate homophobes. My two things. Oh, that's good. All right, where do you want to go next?
I had Trial of Magneto, issue 3.
I also had this one next. I didn't like this one as much as the previous issues. There's some weirdness here.
There's some weirdness here. First being that Magneto's not in the book. Well, he's in the book for a panel.
Like a minute.
Yeah. And it kind of drops all its like murder mystery weirdness to be just like the Avengers and X-Men fighting kaiju. Which
is fun enough.
Turn up on the island when Wanda shows up.
Yeah, right around the same time that they, mess with her memories and she comes back. And no one is smart enough to put that together, that these two things that are clearly connected are clearly connected.
Yeah.
Everyone just, like, for 2 issues, everyone's super smart and trying to solve the mystery and figure it out and everything. And then in this issue, they all become dumb as shit.
Yeah, it just becomes the usual, like, X-Men fight something. It's kind of schlock.
Very.
Yeah.
And again, there's like some interesting ideas where, okay, so this Wanda that has come back is clearly, an older Wanda. She doesn't remember, how her relationship with Vision ended. She doesn't even remember her 2 children.
Yeah. She's like one from when, like, long time ago, from when she thought like Eric was her father still. She was kind of in love with Vision, but not married to him yet.
Yes. And Rachel and Jean get the genius idea of like, oh, we're going to fill her head with all the memories that she lost for our convenience. And it's like, that's a bad idea, ladies. Do you not remember how traumatic this woman's life has been?
Not only that, but like Jean doesn't particularly want to do that just because like how mutants fucking view her. But like, so it like kind of begs the questions like, did Jean put everything back in the box? Was it like a selection? Because we see some of the stuff and there's like the No More Mutants stuff. There's the stuff from Empire where she actually tried to like sort that out and everything, with like the stuff and everything. A bunch of other stuff is like, did you put it all back or just some of it?
Or just it seems like a bit of a gross invasion of her personal rights. Like, here's all these memories back that you would probably be better off forgetting.
I can understand, like, Rachel kind of like tries to legitimize it and justify it as like, look, she doesn't even know who her kids are. Like, it's kind of fucked up. Like, we could at least give her that, but like, at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
Jace Jensen from our last conversation that I just saw is super chat. Do you think people would be happy if Damian was aged up with John, or do you think more fans would be mad? That's a good question.
Yeah, they'd be more mad just because Bendis did it.
I guess. I mean, like, honestly, it wouldn't kill me if they aged Damian up, because you figure like he's the youngest member of the family. Like, at least make him as old as Tim.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind either way,
And like technically they have slowly actually been aging Damien up because he had a
He looks
birthday
a lot taller than he used to do.
because he had a birthday at the beginning of the Benjamin Percy Teen Titans run.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was 13 in that, so they like officially made him a teenager so he could like reform the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Then I think he's actually had a couple other birthdays by other writers.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they came out and said, "No, he's actually just like a year and a half younger than John. It's just he's just a fucking manlet. He's just short
or something like that." Which is fun. I like the idea of Damien the manlet on. I like the idea that he's got this eternal Napoleon short guy complex.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the shortest guy in the Bat Family, and it makes me angry. Little angry short guy, little short king over here. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Trial of Magneto. So yeah, that's just weird how they deal with Wanda, because it's like, guys, you've known her for how long? Why are you treating her like this?
Yeah, it's very strange. Again, I think it kind of goes into that whole thing where it's like most mutants fucking hate her for no real reason other than that exodus and like what they've been told to like expect about her.
Yeah, it's just so weird because like the first two issues treated her with such reverence, like, oh, she's our friend, and we treated her so bad and everything, like, oh, we miss her so much. Yeah, now she's back though. Fuck her, whatever. It's a hell of a thing. It's very, very odd how they choose to deal with her, and like these monsters are clearly tied to her and chaos magic and like an old woman Wanda from the end of it, and I'm like, all right, this has moved away from the murder mystery that I liked.
Yeah, I like those first two issues much more than this. I did like that it kind of like had like a break in like the superhero stuff, but yeah, it's very weird shift in tone.
Very like just crazy tone shift.
Yeah.
I hope it swings back, because like they even said where it's like, look, so she's back, but that still doesn't mean we don't have to solve the murder.
Yeah, Northstar made that pretty clear.
Yeah, like Magneto confessed, but like it's clearly more complicated than what they're letting on.
Yeah, and it would be nice if Magneto was actually in his book for once.
Yeah, I know, right? The book that's supposed to. Well, I mean, is it his book, or is this just what X Factor would become before they canceled it?
Yeah. I mean, it's written by Leo Williams and everything. So yeah,
it's the next arc of frickin' X Factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, the X-Men really said, "Would you like some trauma? Would you like some trauma in these traumatic times?" Can we give you an egg? And Wanda's like, no, I don't want to. Ah, God. Also, they still haven't answered the question, too. This Wanda that came back, is she a mutant now, or isn't she?
Yeah, because they made it clear I think the first issue that her and Pietro are still in like the Cerebro machine, because they've like fooled it into thinking that they were mutants when they're not mutants. They've made it clear that they're not mutants. I'd be intrigued to see if that actually classes her as a mutant now.
Yeah, because that brings up a billion questions. Like, can she walk through the portal? If her and her brother were able to trick Cerebro before, can they trick Krakoa? Also, if that's the thing, how what's stopping people from recreating whatever the trick was, so they can essentially live forever because of Cerebro and the island and shit.
Yeah, well, I again, like the stuff of the mutant resurrection is just starting to leak out into the public now.
Yeah, because if that there's a way to cheat death out there, he'd probably want to do it.
Yeah.
Just saying. One of the last books I read this week was Thor Number 18.
I read that as well.
Reassembling the pet Avengers in one of the coolest ways ever.
Yeah, this was a quick beginning to the Master of Spies storyline. Thor's obviously lost his hammer. He needs someone
at the worst time.
Yeah, needs someone to look for it. He asks Loki, but Loki's like, nah, sick of your shit. Just want to go rule Jotunheim with my people.
He's got a good reason to do it. He's like, yeah, I tried to help you run away from your problems the last time, and we resurrected a goddamn dragon-powered serial killer who kicked all our asses.
Yeah.
And also, I'm a king, too. Like, I need to take care of my place, because I'm arguably doing a better job taking care of my place than you are taking care of Asgard right now.
Yep.
You're doing such a bad job, Angela and the other realms say they might step in and actually remove you from power if you don't get your shit in order.
Yeah, you're about to be impeached, Thor.
Literally, and if they find out you lost your hammer, that is apparently an impeachable offense.
It lost the nuclear codes, yeah.
Basically is what that was. And it's so great because Thor starts doing this big long pitch to Loki, being like, oh, I don't say sorry enough, and da-da-da-da-da. And then he goes and meets Throg and gives him the exact hits word for word, meaning that he did rehearse it and he wasn't speaking from the heart.
Yeah, he's just kind of like gaslighting people, like trying to get them to help and everything.
It's like the more he tries to hold on to being king, the more he proves that he shouldn't be king and that it's bad for him.
Yep.
And the irony that Throg is actually a better king of his weird swamp realm.
Yeah, I like that, like where he comes back and tries to claim that he and Lockjaw and everything defeated Donald Blake and everything. Yeah. That's pretty fun.
Hey, you guys got some good hits in. No one's taking that away from you. But come on, you didn't win. But also that, like, Walter Simonson is, like, super big on adventure and, like, is just dying to get his Animal Avengers team back together. It's like, yep, I'll do the job. In fact, I already assembled them 4 days ago.
I already preemptively assembled them all just because I knew you'd come to me.
Yep. Also, we're not going to be called the Pet Avengers anymore. We're just the Avengers now.
Yeah.
I want that title. I think that might be a problem when the other Avengers find out.
Different realms and copyright laws and
yeah, copyright laws are different in the 9 realms.
Yeah. Earth's is different to Muspelheims and Niflheim and all that. Steve
Rogers checks out his credit card statement and sees that they've been putting stuff in the Avengers name all over the place. Motherfuckers. But yeah, this is just super fun and super funny, and I think it's the perfect antidote to anyone who's thought like, oh, Donny Cates' time on Thor sure has been like really depressing and morose and everything.
Yeah, it's a fun little palate cleanser before I imagine we get back into like the Dark Winter storylines and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, because again, I feel like people keep losing track of that, where it's like, no, Thor just didn't wake up one day and became a bad king. He's having trouble being king because he's literally seen the end of the world.
Yeah, he knows it's like, what's the point? It's
what
all
is
gonna fucking end. I'm gonna die anyway. I'm gonna die airless and everything.
Yeah, it's just gonna be me, and Thanos will steal my hammer and the Infinity Gems at the end of time.
Yeah.
I keep meaning to make that video too, the secret story that exists in all Donny Cates comics.
Yeah, the backstory and everything that he's building towards for some big event.
Yeah, because he's been telling one story, from Thanos wins onward, like that's the story.
Yeah.
That story, the Black Silver Surfer, and all this other stuff, he's telling one story. I guess Cosmic Ghost Rider also is technically involved in that too.
Yep.
Because Cosmic Ghost Rider is also alive at the end of all things in Thanos Wins.
Yep.
Really, I'm just looking for an excuse to read Thanos Wins again. Because what a fun story that was.
It's pretty good.
All right, I had one last one. What about you?
Yeah, I had Flash issue 775.
Ooh, what's going on with Wally?
We learned what that fucking glaive thing was that fell to Earth.
Oh, yeah, we had a lot of theories.
So it landed in Central City, and Flash calls in Superman and Mr. Terrific to try and sort it out. Superman can't pull it out of the ground or anything.
Oh shit!
And Flash finds out that it starts to make people mad. Superman gets really frustrated, he can't do it, and then leaves, and he says, "Hey, I got better things to do." And everyone's like, "What? Okay, whatever." Mr. Terrific yells at Wally to get back to work and everything, and he goes home and sees Linda, and Linda's all mad because he leaves drawers open around the kitchen, and he's trying to figure out what the fuck's going on here, and all the people at his work are quitting because they're mad, each of them aren't validating each other's theories and everything.
Everyone's got the rage sickness.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, this has something to do with this fucking glaive thing, and he ends up fighting Trickster, who wants the glaive and almost actually gets it, and then he ends up fighting every villain in Central City, and then some from out, so Ultra Humanoids, Prometheus, Major Force. Cool. All of these people,
wicked!
They all come for the glaive. They all want the glaive, and he ends up defeating them all. And he ends up building a special cocoon thing around the glaive from the stuff he was testing in the lab, and it stops its influence, and no one remembers what the hell they were doing there. So the villains are like, "We'll be back once we learn why we were here in the first place."
Classic villains.
So then the power actually ends up exploding from the it's like this weird goo inside it's like a symbiote inside the glaive, and that's when the villain Starbreaker shows up. Starbreaker is an old Justice League villain.
Oh, really?
He kind of looks like Mr. Sinister.
Oh, I'm googling him right now. Yeah, that sounds like a deep cut right there.
Yeah, he hasn't been around since like
yeah.
the mid 2000s or something.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing him here in Justice League of America.
He's like
yeah,
an energy vampire.
Yes, he looks like Mr. Sinister and Sinestro had a baby.
Yeah. And he wants the glaive because he heard it calling from like space, and he came and he's like, "With our rule the universe and everything." He grabs it, and then he realizes his mistake as we find out that the glaive was actually a prison, and inside that prison was Eclipso.
Oh, fuck.
So Eclipso ends up possessing this guy, and ends up possessing Starbreaker with the glaive, and Starbreaker, Eclipso guy is getting ready to fight Flash, but then realizes Flash is kind of beneath me. Like, why would... And Wally, classic Wally fashion, he's like, I don't really like this new Eclipso guy. Can you go back to like the vampire guy? Like, he was funner. He was more fun. He could grow in size and everything. It's like, and can we hurry this up? I got to get home to a mad wife and everything. And Eclipso's like, I don't have time for you, but we'll be coming back to Earth, and when I come back, there'll be vengeance. And he ends up leaving with the staff, and Wally's like, well, no one's mad anymore. It's all sorted out in the end. Off. Yeah. And just as he's about to leave for home, Dr. Fate ends up pulling him into another realm, telling him that the fate of the universe is in his hands. But
again?
but Wally's reaction to it is so great. He's like, really, my hands? They're not really my best feature. And Dr. Fate just like lets out a defeated sigh.
Wow, Eclipso is getting a lot of play, isn't he? In the frickin' Stargirl show, in that Superman and the Authority, and now in this.
Yeah, well, I think this is all tied to Infinite Frontier, because he was in that as well. He's one of the forces going to go after the Great Darkness.
That's right. Yeah. They literally said he's one of the big bads right up there next to Darkseid, and he went back up into space.
So yeah, he's probably gone off to fighting Justice Incarnate or something. I don't know.
Holy shit! Huh. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And I think next issue is Wally teaming up with Justice League Dark, I think.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. You mentioned Major Force is in this. Well, holy shit, Major Force was in 2 books this week.
Really?
Which is 2 more than he's been in, and I don't know how long. Because I read the new Suicide Squad book this week, Suicide Squad 8, and this book continues to be really awesome. Robbie Thompson has really zeroed into that thing I love about Suicide Squad, and that is no one is safe. Anything can happen, and any weirdo villain can show up.
Yeah, like Major Force.
Like Major Force. So the idea is that Waller literally sent her team to hell to steal the Rock of Eternity.
Of course, yes.
Because the Rock...
perfectly reasonable thing for the Suicide Squad to do.
And nice bit of connective tissue, too, because it's like, the Rock of Eternity is in hell, according to the Shazam book, isn't it?
Yes.
Meanwhile, it's because it's 2 missions. Half the team goes to do that, and meanwhile, Peacemaker has been dealing with Swamp Thing over in his book.
Mm-hmm.
And because Ambush Bug is on the team now, he does like freaking Deadpool-esque fourth wall breaking shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, Peacemaker's over here. Jeez, it's like he's become a multimedia celebrity or something, and they're putting him above the rest of the team. So Swamp Thing literally gets Peacemaker's bomb out of his head.
Okay.
He's like, well, there, I took the bomb out of your head. Now you don't have to fight me for Waller anymore. And Peacemaker's like, well, shit, I guess you got me there. Yeah, you can do whatever you want now, dude. You're not my enemy.
Yeah, you can come fight me, fight Waller with me. How about that?
Yeah, really. Well, here's the thing. Peacemaker gets recruited by Rick Flag and his new anti-Suicide Squad, Squad.
Yep.
Which is super cool. And I'm like, oh, wow, now we have 2 squads fighting each other. That's actually really awesome.
That's cool, yeah.
And he's got like Mirror Master on his team, and Cheetah, a Parademon, and now Peacemaker.
Ooh, that's a pretty good team.
It's a pretty solid team. Meanwhile, everyone else is in hell dealing with the Hell Squad, which are the ghosts of other members of the Suicide Squad who died and went to hell.
So like all the shitty versions of characters.
Yes. And even ones who died just recently. So like Mind Warp is there because he died in like issue 1.
Okay.
Also, hey Axe, thank you. Just wanted to say how you been. We've been good. You know, this
good.
show has been going for a while now.
Yeah.
But we get to spend it with you guys, which makes it special. You know, Match is still dealing with the fact that he isn't, Superboy, and he's ready to kill Mind Warp because he figures, well, Mind Warp's the leader of the Hell Squad. If I kill him, I'll free all the others. Nocturna stops him, though.
Okay.
Because up until now, Match thought he was Superboy, which means he's been holding on to Superman morality and not killing people.
Okay.
So Nocturna doesn't want Match to be a bad guy, essentially.
Cool.
And doesn't want him to be a murderer because they're all hoping that, you know, if Match can find his inner Superman, he can save them all from Waller because they're not even prisoners anymore, they're hostages.
And he can become the Superman of Earth 3 like he was in Future State.
Exactly, we're building up to that. Jace Jensen, Deadshot is in hell, I bet. Surprisingly not, actually. I wonder if they're making a statement with that by the end Deadshot was a good guy and got to go to heaven.
Yeah, I could see that. Or he's not actually dead and he's going to appear somewhere.
That's always a thing, too, or he's not actually dead. What's funny is that, you know, because Match can't kill Mind Warp, Waller's like, fuck you, Wall, I'm bringing in a ringer, and she brings in Major Force, who kills the shit out of Mind Warp.
That'll do it.
And he's just a massive asshole and, ambush bug because he's all meta and everything. But it's like, oh, this guy has the power of, Captain Atom, and he's also a fucking misogynist. Again, Major Force, the inventor of fridging, look it up. He did it first.
Yeah. Keep your Kyle Rayners away from him.
Keep Kyle Rayner's girlfriends away from him. You'll kill them in brutal fashion. But yeah, that was the book, and I'm just like, man, this book continues to be really fun and interesting. I didn't think that, you know, it would be able to hold up after Tom Taylor did his expert run, but this one continues to be really cool, actually.
It's good. It's much better now that the book is free from because it
started
on it's movie constraints, and it started on a tie-in with that whole fucking Red X bullshit.
Yeah, now that we're done with that, the book is just completely unhinged now in the best way possible. We're going to cross universes and Earths. We're going to bring in weird characters. We're going to go to hell. This book can go anywhere and do anything.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And I love it because of that.
Yeah.
So is that it, Matt? Is that all the books we read this week?
I think so. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, pretty much.
Man. This show ended up being so long, and I didn't think so after Fandom. I thought we would be scraping. Well, I guess it's on that note, everyone will start winding the show down. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and hanging out. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who donated. As always, that helps us out a lot. If you're a patron, and you can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, you'll be able to watch the show back in audio and visual format. Matt and I try and get that done for you. You can use the Wild Bill promo code down here. Get yourself some delicious craft soda. And next week, be sure to grab your candy and your costumes and everything else, because Matt and I are going to be doing something special for Halloween. We're probably going to be watching some sort of shitty horror movie. We're not sure yet if it's going to be an Amazon watch-along or if we're just going to be doing it more analog style or something, but we're going to try and do something fun for you all for Halloween.
Yeah, we'll let you all know beforehand through our Twitters and everything. We'll put it out. I had considered putting out a poll because we last week we sort of figured out that there's a couple of films that we both have on Amazon, and we thought maybe we'll just put a poll out on those films and just decide. And
you know, it was going to be that, or we were going to pick what's some old shitty black and white Vincent Price thing that's on YouTube that they won't hassle us about.
Yeah.
That was an option there. Again, Matt and I had a lot of fun looking at a lot of really cheesy ass B movies. It reminded us of some of the best times we had over at Name Redacted when we would just watch just pure shit. What's the worst thing we can find?
Yeah.
I was leaning to wanting to do Prom Night 2, which they filmed in Canada, has way better actors than you would think, and is just goddamn insane.
I've seen it, and it's pretty insane.
It's insane. I know there's nudity in it too, which I thought of might get us in trouble on whatchamacallit, on Twitch.
Well,
So,
again,
that's
I
what I
could
was.
do the whole oh, it's come. We've got like a stream delay, so I could always like rip.
Okay, good. Yeah, and you've seen it all the way through. I have not seen it all the way through. I heard the How Did This Get Made with Jason Mantzoukas, Seth Rogen, and oh god, who was the lady from that movie Long Shot? Because she did it too, and she's like a really respected actress.
I'm not sure.
God, who was the actress in this? Oh, I'm losing my goddamn mind. It was Charlize Theron.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, Charlize Theron was on How Did This Get Made talking about
awesome.
Prom Night 2. And she loved it. She's like, man, that girl who was crying in the background, can she just have my Academy Award? I'm just going to give it to her because that was such good acting. I didn't know Charlize Theron was cool and down with shit. Yeah, exactly. Do like some, Mega Man, do like some Roger Corman shit. Exactly. See, you all get what we're about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do something fun for that. Again, if Matt and I could do it, we would just watch shitty movies all the time and not even talk about comics. That would just be the show. Us being like, man, that effect is terrible. Hey, this was filmed.
Hey, I'm sure people would love that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Tell you what, if this next one does good, maybe that should be a new Patreon thing that we'll
maybe
try
that could
and
be
do
something we do like once a month, end of the month, instead of like this show. We do like a shitty movie.
I like that, Matt. I think that would be good because we're nearing 300 episodes now. And as much as I love the show and love the audience and love talking with you and everyone, you can only do something, 300 times before it starts to get a little boring.
Well, 300 times plus however many times we did it before this incarnation of this show.
True enough. This is like the second, third incarnation of this. You're absolutely right, Matt. This is, it's like we're in a marriage, everyone, and this is how we're going to spice it all up so we don't have to go see other podcasts. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll wind this down. And again, be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, because we're going to have something really cool planned for you.
Yeah, definitely. Catch everyone later.
All right, everyone. Bye-bye.